Until a few years ago, Scott Carlson was living the American dream. He had a fulfilling job, he was married to a woman he loved, and he was relishing the joys of fatherhood.
Being a father is a life-changing experience. I spent as much time as I could with Cedric and really bonded with him.
But on September 28, 2005, Carlson's life was turned upside down when his wife abducted their son at an airport in Switzerland as he and Cedric were about to travel to the U.S.
It ended up that I had to take her to the police station because she grabbed Cedric and would not let Cedric come with me.
Carlson says airport police told him he couldn't take Cedric back to the U.S. without his mother's consent or a court order. So he says he headed back to Washington and went straight to the courthouse.
I was awarded full custody and also this house and all rights under the divorce because of her behavior.
But despite being on the right side of U.S. and international law, Carlson has been unable to bring his son back to the U.S. And in that, his story is like thousands of other parents whose children have been abducted by foreign-born spouses and taken to the spouse's country of origin. This was the case with Janet Greer, an American whose 3-year-old daughter was abducted by the child's father and taken to Egypt 12 years ago.
I didn't see baby teeth come out. I didn't see first day of school. I didn't do Mother's Day. Nothing. Nothing at all.
Recently, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, standing alongside Egypt's foreign minister, spoke on Greer's behalf.
As a mother, the idea that I wouldn't be able to see my daughter for 12 years is extremely painful to me, just to think about.
Janet Greer was recently awarded a 2-hour visit in Cairo with her daughter.
Every time she smiled, she looked just like me. Exactly like me. I couldn't get over it.
But Egypt, like many countries, generally requires that the child be raised in Egypt even if he or she was taken from a home overseas. And it has not signed the Hague Convention on International Child Abduction, nor a bilateral agreement on custody. In another case, David Goldman, an American, has been trying to gain custody of his son Sean ever since the child was abducted and brought to Brazil almost 5 years ago. While a Brazilian court finally awarded Goldman custody, the case remains unresolved, and the boy is still in Brazil. Meanwhile, Scott Carlson, after a disappointing experience with the State Department, took his case to the FBI and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, a nonprofit group that works closely with government and law enforcement. Maureen Heads manages the Family Abduction Unit at the center. She says several laws passed since 1982 help protect American children.
There's the Missing Children's Act and also the National Child Search Assistance Act. These help parents and require law enforcement to take missing persons reports of missing children and for children to be entered in a national missing persons database.
But more is needed to bring these children back. While his case continues to work its way through the system, Scott Carlson says his biggest worry is the effect the kidnappings may have had or continue to have on his son.
He's now at the age where he's meeting other children and they're talking about their dads. I think he's probably feeling a little lonely and different right now, and I think he's going to feel a lot more lonely and a lot more different in the near future.
Carlson says even with all the setbacks, he remains hopeful that one day he will have his son back.
I've always been an incorrigible optimist, and if I let this incident take that away from me, then I think I would rob Cedric of one of the greatest gifts I hope to one day give him, which is that, there's a lot to love in life and there's a lot to look forward to, and even when things are bad, you can do something to change it.
In the 4 years since Cedric was abducted, Scott Carlson has been allowed to see him for a total of 5 hours. Cedric Carlson celebrated his 5th birthday on July 3rd. Julie Tabo, VOA News, Washington.